We have a problem where China is ripping off the United States. You know, those are the problems we really want to solve. I don't want to waste a lot of time on the birth certificate, but you are supposed to be playing by the rules. Okay, so let's play by the rules. In 1990, the world collapsed. It was really going bad. And I had tremendous problems. And a lot of people say that they respect me more because I had problems. If I didn't have that big problem, and I actually do draw a lot of people. Believe me, your other speakers did not draw these people. Just trust me, folks, okay? And they did a very dirty trick, but I respect it. They said, we're not telling you when Trump is speaking. So you people were forced to sit through speakers that you didn't even want to hear. I've never heard of this shit. I've never heard of this shit. And I'll tell you what I told Michael, and they're great guys. I'll tell you what I told Michael and everybody. I said, Michael, I don't like it personally, because it's not good for me, because some of these people are going to give up. Although based on the fact that every seat is taken, they haven't given up. But some of these people are going to give up. But it's sort of genius, because you get some lousy speakers, and you get Trump. You put them all together. And then you say, when is Mr. Trump speaking? We don't give out that information. You paid all this money. We don't give it out. And then he shows up, the last speaker. But we're going to give you so much fun today, folks, because there's so much fun in this stuff. There's so much fun in and there's so much fun, and there's so much common sense. And honestly, some of you aren't cut for it, and many of you are cut for it. And by the way, in this room, most of the people are. But I do pride myself on convincing some people that they shouldn't be doing it. You know, the guy with the house, I told him, I said, look, you're a brilliant guy. He called me. I can't sleep. Donald, I can't sleep. I'm not having sex with my wife. I don't know if he ever did, if you look at it. I think he was just using the house as an excuse. It may be smarter than I think. But he actually told me he's not having sex with his wife. I don't want to hear that. I told him, he's not a very attractive guy, so I didn't want to really hear this. So he goes like, and it's an amazing thing. He just back and forth. And I told him, I said, you know, James, what you should do is just keep working for your company and be happy, because you're not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Well, I want to be an entrepreneur. I said, no, because you take things too seriously. You can't handle pressure. And the thing I've added to everything, because I have so many different things, there's luck, there's you know, you need to hire the right people, and you need not to trust them at all, because they'll take the shirt off your back. You know, my mother in one speech was there, and I said that you need to get great people and not trust them. My mother came up to me, darling, did you make a mistake? You said, get great people and not trust them. Was that a mistake? I said, no. Because if they don't respect you, they'll steal from you. They'll take the shirt off your back. They think the company is theirs. They've got to respect you. If they don't respect you, if you're a slackard, if you don't work hard, if they don't think you're smart, if they think they're smarter than you, they'll rob you, they'll steal from you, and you won't know what happened until it's too late. So my mother gave me a little hard time. She said, that's not the way it is, Donald. You get the right people and trust them. I disagree. You get the right people, get great people, and don't trust them for 1 minute. Okay? They're after your wife, they're after your dog, they're after your money. But get your right people anyway. Now, you have to love what you do. And I'm not going to go over that long, but it solves a lot of problems. Because when you love what you do, when you really love what you do, you work harder. I mean, I have friends that don't love it. You know, I tell this story. A Wall Street type, big guy. But I was richer than him, and I'm richer. According to Forbes, I'm much richer than him. So I like it, you know? I like it. But this big Wall Street type, he's a big name. He has a son, and his son is a wonderful human being, which is amazing, because the guy's a horrible person. But he's one of the biggest guys on Wall Street. So he wants his son, Alex. I'm going to use the name Alex. It's not his name, but I don't want to get this guy in any more trouble with his father than he already is. Alex isn't the strongest character. The father is a brutal, vicious killer. So the father has a big firm on Wall Street, and he wants Alex to go into the firm, of course. You know, come on, Alex, get in there, get in there. In the meantime, all these kids are graduating from Wharton and Harvard and Stanford, and they're just eating Alex's lunch. He doesn't have a chance. He doesn't have a chance. And he doesn't like it. He's not liking what he's doing. You got to love what you do. He's not liking it. So one day, but he can't leave because of his father. I actually tell him, why don't you leave? Your father's brutal. The father's just killing the guys. Tell him, you don't have what it takes. I'm sorry, Dad. Oh, this is great. So I say, you got to leave the father. You got to leave him. He said, I just can't, Donald. So anyway, he's a spoiled guy. He's a member of a very good golf club in Westchester, which is a rich place in New York. And he's on one of the committees, and he's on the Greens Committee. And they put him in charge of redoing the course. They're doing this big renovation of the course. It's a very good club. And he's there every morning at 5 in the morning. He doesn't leave. He did such an unbelievable job. The contractors respected him. Everybody respected him. His wife came up to me and said, Donald, he's like a different man. I didn't ask whether or not they were having sex because I knew it wasn't. Because after the last guy, I didn't want to hear about it. And actually, this is a much more attractive couple, physically. So the wife comes up, he's doing so great, Donald, he's so amazing. And they give him an honor. And this is a tough group of people that have this club. You know, they're club members and they're difficult. They gave him an honor. The club came in under budget, faster by 2 months. He did an unbelievable job, and the quality of the work was 10 times what they ever anticipated. So they gave him a medal. I said, you know, Alex, you ought to go and do this for a living. You ought to be a builder, whether it's houses or clubs or golf courses, renovation or this. Oh, my father would go crazy. He'd never let me. So Alex went back to Wall Street, where he was miserable, and a year later he quit. And he started doing renovations of houses and clubs and different things. And he's doing great. He's never going to make money like his father. It can't happen. He would never make it anyway. And he was just being absolutely killed in the firm. Just killed. And, you know, the geniuses were just destroying him. He may have had the advantage of being the son, but he wasn't, you know, inclined. Look, number one, he wasn't as smart as these characters he was competing with. They were just killing him. But you know what? In this other business, he'd kill them. So you've got to love what you do. He's doing great now. He's happy. His family's happy. And he's out of the house at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I think it's a great story because that's the way it is. I mean, you've got to love what you're going to do. And the other thing is, I always say you got to work hard. But when you love what you're doing, you tend to work harder. So it's really a great thing. And I just feel it's very important. Now, never, ever give up. You can change and you can move around, but never, ever give up. I know people that are very smart. They went to the Wharton School of Finance with me. I know other people that aren't as smart, and those people are the top people in industry today, and they just were tougher. They didn't give up. And the smart ones had everything on their plate. They'd always come in with the A+ on the tests and the good boards and everything else. But when they ran into problems, they didn't know how to solve the problems like the guys that weren't as good. And it's very seldom that you see something other than this happen. So never, ever give up. You know, my father used to tell a joke. My father was a builder in Brooklyn and Queens, and I learned a lot from him. Fred Trump, he was a great guy, and I really learned a lot from him. And my father had this joke. It was a 7-Up joke. He said, a friend of his loved bottled water and soda. That was the business. He wasn't in real estate. He loved making soda. So he founded a company called 2-Up. You know where this is going. And the company went bankrupt. Now my father told it because he thought it was funny. I remember it because to me it's really a little inspirational actually. He then it failed. He did another one, 3-Up. It failed. He did another one, 4-Up. It failed. He said to his wife, I'm going to do one more. I'm not giving up. So he did 5-Up, and it failed. And then he said, even though I told you one more, I'm doing one more. And it was 6-Up, and it failed, and he went bankrupt, and that was the end of him. Nobody ever heard. And if only he would have done it again, he would have had 7-Up. So my father liked it as a joke. I liked it sort of as a fact. It's life. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. Now, at the same time, you can't just, if there's a concrete wall, you can't just keep hitting your head against the wall and, You have to find ways of going under it, around it, over it. You've got to maintain flexibility. I deal with people, and I deal with people from other continents. And we have the greatest businessmen in the world in the United States, in my opinion. And even though I'm speaking to Australia, these are minor details. But we have the greatest businessmen. Look what they did to you people and everybody else with their housing bundling loans. I mean, those guys made a fortune. 5,000 mortgages in Phoenix, Arizona. Nobody knows the address of any house. And by the way, would the world like to buy these mortgages? Yes, France. Oh, we'll buy about 5 trillion of them. Oh, absolutely, wonderful. These guys made a fortune. Okay, it was a bad thing, and it was a bad thing that happened. We don't use our brilliant guys in the United States to negotiate against China and various other people. We use people that are diplomats. You know what a diplomat is? A diplomat is somebody who goes to school to be nice. They want to be nice. So if we would use, I know all the killers in New York, if I would pick out a team like we do a golf team, I'll pick the Ryder Cup of business people. What we would do to the rest of the world would be unbelievable. But we have politicians that don't do that because they want to be nice. I heard a guy named Gary Locke today. Gary Locke. Anyone ever heard of Gary Locke? He's the new ambassador to China. And he said, and it's so naive, and it's so pathetic it's funny, even though it's happening to my own country. He said, I think China should behave. They should be nicer to us. Because if they did, we'd make product and we could sell it in China. And I'm watching this, and I'm saying, God can't be doing this to us. He then finished off by saying, wouldn't it be nice for them to also know they're putting Americans to work? This is what he said about China. Now, I have a lot of respect for China. I just sold an apartment to a Chinese man for $33 million. I own a big chunk of the Bank of America building. I own a big chunk of a building in Manhattan, all because of China. I have nothing in it, nothing. They had a fortune. They had to put up all the money. I own a big percentage of the building, and Bank of America building is one of the cooler buildings. I mean, I deal with China. I respect China. I'm not angry at China because they're ripping off the United States. I just wish we had somebody that could rip them off for a while, okay? That's one of the reasons I love Australia, because you're selling them all sorts of shit.